All right, so whenever you're ready, if you'd like to take yourself down to the floor, that is if you haven't already, we will begin with our mindful breathing. Finding ourselves in that comfortable position, whether the legs are extended and slightly opened at the hip, or if the knees are bent. If we're able to allow the arms to come down by our sides, opening through shoulders and palms, or if we'd rather have the hands resting on our belly, I want us to just take that body scan as we begin our practice together today, working from our feet all the way up, eventually coming through to the top of our head. And rather than thinking about fixing anything, let's notice what we're feeling. If we're slightly off kilter or feeling unbalanced or one-sided, noticing any alignment issues, or perhaps none of that's relevant, and we're simply enjoying laying here, relaxing, not being needed or needing to do anything. Closing our eyes if we haven't yet done so, and really starting to draw our attention to our breathing. Noticing the inhale as the air comes through the nose, and noticing our exhale as the body relaxes into the mat. And if it's of interest to you today, I'll encourage us to all bring our arms long over our head, reaching those arms along the floor, opening up through the shoulders, the chest, the rib cage. And we can slowly start to relax those shoulders as we bring the arms down, gathering the knees into our chest, giving ourselves a wonderful big hug. Holding our knees to chest, feel free to rock side to side, massaging the lower back, smoothing out any knots, discovering or becoming aware of any pinching through the hips, any tightness we might be feeling, especially if we found ourselves sitting all day. Continuing to hold the knees into the body, let's roll our ankles, releasing any cricks or cracks from the joints, encouraging blood flow down to those feet. Again, if we've been sitting, just working through, sending some nice oxygenated blood all the way down to those toes. Singling out our stretch, let's keep a hold of that right leg as we extend the left leg down to the ground, gently drawing the knee out towards our right shoulder. Opening across the chest, noticing if we're able to remain open through the collars today, working on realigning through the posture, drawing the knee over towards the left shoulder if that's something we're interested in. Now targeting the outside of that right thigh into the hip. Becoming aware if we're holding on to any tension in any body part in particular. Drawing that leg through the middle and then releasing down to the ground. Inhale that left thigh, opening out towards the left shoulder, pressing that right leg down into the ground. A reminder again about our shoulders, opening the collars, drawing that knee over towards the right shoulder. Noticing that how that feels in through that left hip. And we can release the leg in and all the way down. Taking our feet flat on the floor when we're ready. Coming into our glute bridges, a little hip activation as we work on activating through our core muscles, arms down by our side. Inhale, lift the hips up towards the ceiling, squeezing through those glutes. And exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, we lower back onto the ground. Inhale, lifting our hips up, noticing our knees are tracking. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lifting up, flat through the hands and feet. Exhale, slowly lower. And one more time, inhale, lifting, stretching through the front of those hips. And exhale, releasing down. Maintaining the positioning of the legs, keeping the abdominal muscles engaged, hands finding side or back of head, coming into a few abdominal crunches. Slightly tuck the chin as we inhale, lift head and shoulders up, and exhale, release. Nice and slow. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, we have 2 more crunches. Inhale, up. Exhale, lower. And inhale, lift up. Exhale, release. Take our time, maybe windshield wipering those knees side to side, noticing how the back, the hips, everything's feeling right now. And then we'll work our way over through baby pose onto our side, all the way up onto hands and knees. Taking any adjustments we need to, if we've got any warm-up layers we'd like to remove, and then coming onto those hands, placing them directly beneath shoulders, knees are right underneath our hips. Pulling in our bellies, flattening out our backs, really pressing away from the hands, pushing the shoulders up towards the ceiling. We'll take our spinal balance, lifting that right arm straight in front, pressing our left leg back behind us, and lower down. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale, noticing our balance today. Inhale, right, straight line. Exhale, down. Inhale, left. Exhale, we'll do 1 more each side. Inhale, right. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left. Exhale, holding table, preparing for cows and cats. Let's inhale, open the chest, look forward. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, round the back up to cat. Inhale, open. Exhale, notice how this articulation feels. Inhale, open. And last time, exhale, round all the way up. Pressing back into child's pose. Now, everybody does child's pose a little bit differently, and sometimes it just depends on the day too. So ease into this, lowering those hips, extending the arms, resting the head. And let's take a couple of mindful breaths. Preparing for modified flow series. We're going to inhale forward into a kneeling plank. Shoulders come just ahead of fingertips. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, press straight up into that kneeling plank position. And exhale, push back into child's pose. We'll do this 2 more times. Inhaling forward, flat backs. Exhale, hover, shoulders strong. Press straight up. And press back into child's pose. 1 more time through that half flow. Inhaling forward, kneeling plank. Exhale, triceps engaged, elbows brushing ribs. Inhale, press straight up. And exhale, push back into child's. Take a moment, take a breath. Curling our toes underneath of us, lifting our hips high into downward facing dog. Now, if anyone's choosing not to participate in down dog today, that's okay. Maybe child's pose is where you'd like to stay instead. Remember, that's always an option. I want us to really try to press those heels down into the floor, And maybe when I say that, you've still got a baseball underneath your heel. The idea is not how close, but how much stretch can we get up the back of that leg as we're holding that position. Now from here, let's walk the dog, really working through the fascia, the arches, the toes of the feet, stretching out any tightness through the ankles, the calf muscles, maybe even up to the hamstrings. And prepare for our next flow. We'll inhale forward through plank. Feel free to bring the knees down to the floor in a modified position. Exhale, chaturanga completely to the mat. Inhale, lifting up to cobra, maybe a baby to start. And exhale, press back, down dog or child's pose. We'll do that flow 2 more times. Inhaling forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga, elbows brushing ribs. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, press back, down dog or child's. Last time. Inhaling forward. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, lift up to cobra. Exhale, press back, down dog or child's. Slowly walking our feet and hands all the way together, coming to the top of our mat and coming up halfway into monkey. Pull those shoulder blades nice and flat, pulling the belly buttons up to the spine. Nice long necks. Feeling any stretch through the hamstrings, any support through the shoulders. Now sitting back into our chair position, squatting down through the heels, reaching those arms nice and tall if we're able to. Remember, heart center's a lovely substitution for that. Little heat building. Big inhale, lift the arms up high. And exhale, release. Go ahead and take a couple of shoulder rolls, fidgeting anything you need to. Grab a drink of water if necessary, as we find ourselves at the top of our mat. Standing tall in Tadasana, I want us to feel feet directly beneath our hips, noticing all 4 corners of our feet on the floor, lifting up through the arches, tight through the thighs, the hips, the core, and then those shoulders coming down, head held high. Close our eyes if that's an option. Inhale, lift our arms all the way up above our head to prayer. Now exhale, hinge from the hips, swan dive, down into forward fold. I'm halfway up to monkey. Exhaling down into fold. Step all the way back into plank. And press back into down dog. From here, I want us to kick our right foot all the way up towards our hands, helping it there if we need to find knee above ankle in a lunge. Taking our arms all the way up above our head if that's an option to raise them off the floor. Remember, heart center is also an option. Now, as we hold our crescent lunge, I want us just to bring all of our weight forward through that right knee stacked above the ankle, rising high up onto those back toes, really activating a strong back thigh. Proud through the chest as we really lengthen that back hip. Taking one more big inhale here. Exhale, swan dive. Step our right foot behind us into plank. Push back into down dog. Repeating with the left foot. Look up between our hands as we sweep that left foot forward. Knee above ankle, helping to get there. Feel free to leave the hands down or sweep them all the way up above head. Shoulders secured down our backs. And then that final touch, we shift our weight forward onto the ball of the back foot, knee stacked right above the ankle of the left leg, activating strong leg muscles, zipping tall up through our torso. Couple big breaths. One more big inhale. Exhale, fan the hands down, sweep back into plank position. Push back into down dog or child's. Now from here, feel free to hold your stretch or join me in a flow, which we'll repeat 2 times. Inhaling forward through plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, press back, down dog or child's. Inhale forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, press back. From here, we'll walk or step our feet all the way up between our hands. Coming halfway up to monkey. Pull those shoulders together, pull the bellies in. Now softening the knees, inhale, sweep our hands up to prayer. Sitting down into chair pose, exhale. Inhale, lift up into our next flow. Exhale, swan dive, hinging at our hips, down to forward fold. Inhale, halfway up to monkey. Exhale, release into forward fold. Step both feet back to plank and press back into down dog. Remember, child's pose is always an option. From here, this time we're going to take that right foot high to the sky in three-legged dog, bent or straight, and then take that foot all the way up into pigeon, bringing the right foot towards the left knee, the right knee towards the right hand, and then send that left leg back behind us. Now maybe we want to stay up nice and high. Maybe we want to come down onto our forearms, depending on how much tightness or stiffness, any restrictions through that right hip. And just take a couple big breaths here, not holding this for very long. Taking our hands up, carefully sweep our foot back into down dog or plank, where we'll repeat that same exercise now with the left leg. Inhale, lift the leg all the way up to three-legged dog. Exhale, sweep the foot forward towards the right hand, taking that knee down to the left. And then we can sweep that right leg back just a little bit farther. Keeping our hips and shoulders square to the front as we remain either on our hands or come down onto forearms. Taking those deep breaths. Slowly coming up onto the hands, sweeping back into down dog or child's pose, where you can choose to stay in the stretch or join me in the flow series, repeating it 2 times through. Inhaling forward through plank. Exhale, chaturanga, slow lower. Inhale, lift up through cobra, long neck. Exhale, press back, down dog or child. One more time if we're flowing. Inhaling forward through plank. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, press back. All together, walking or stepping our feet up between our hands. Take as much time as you need there. Coming halfway up to monkey whenever you're able to. Support your lower backs with strong abdominal muscles. Softening those knees, inhale, sweep the arms up above head. And exhale, sweep down through chair pose. Inhale, lift our arms up. Taking our last flow, we exhale, swan dive down. Forward fold, we come up halfway to monkey. Exhale, release through fold, and step our feet all the way back through plank into down dog or child's pose. This time we're going to be coming forward into a lizard stretch. Taking that right leg all the way up to the sky if we're able to for three-legged dog. We then sweep the foot on the outside of our right hand. So it's all the way to the outside of the mat. Personally, I want to take my back left knee down to the floor. And that right knee is lining up with my right arm. So my forearm and my shin are running parallel to one another, trying to keep my knee stacked right above my ankle. Now that's an intense stretch for the inner thigh. This is enough for me today, staying high up on my hands. And I'm going to really breathe into this. If anyone needs more, we can take ourselves down onto our forearms, or you can also try keeping that back leg straight. But just remember, we don't want to feel necessarily this huge burst of intensity or a sensation with every single pose. Try to enjoy the stretch. Breathe into any discomfort, any sensation we might be feeling. And from this lizard pose, we'll slowly and carefully pick ourselves up through plank and press back into down dog or child, where we'll repeat our final lunge. Now with the left leg, inhale, lifting that leg up to three-legged dog if we're able to. Kick it all the way to the outside of that left hand, helping it there if we need to, so that we can line the forearm of the left arm with the shin of the left leg. Knee above ankle. Now again, I'm going to drop that back knee to the floor. Maybe I'm going to just open this left foot out a little bit as well to provide a little bit more room and space through my hip. And on this side, I'm actually going to come down onto my forearms. Slow, deep breaths to encourage that rest and digest nervous system. All right, slowly coming up. And sweep back, down dog or child's pose. From here, feel free to stay in the stretch or join me for our final 2 rounds of our flow. Inhaling forward to plank. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, scoop up for cobra. Exhale, press back, down dog or child. And one more, inhaling forward. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, slowly press back. Hold it here for just a moment longer. And now we'll carefully step or walk our feet all the way up between our hands. Coming halfway up to that monkey. Softening our knees, big inhale. Reverse swan dive up to standing. Exhale, sweep, sitting back through chair. And then last, inhale, lift tall. And exhale, release. Again, maybe take a couple shoulder rolls. Grab a drink of water if necessary or needed. That was an amazing flow. I hope you enjoyed it. We are going to remain standing on our feet as we come into a couple of standing postures. For balance sake, if you prefer to stand next to a wall, a chair, or a ledge of any kind, please take yourself there now. We'll bring ourselves tall through Tadasana as we prepare for tree pose. Taking that right leg out to the side, open at the hip as we draw the foot in, taking either the foot up to the calf, above the knee to the inner thigh, or we can leave that foot down on the floor if we prefer today. Lifting out of our left supporting leg, arms can come into any version of a branch of a tree, high, low, narrow, wide. I'll take heart center today as I focus really on externally rotating at that hip for the right leg, really lifting and lengthening out of the hip of that left leg. Helpful for many to find a spot that we can look at and maintain gaze and focus. If you're feeling extra fidgety, that's okay. Keep breathing nice and calm. We're going to take this foot and bring it directly into dancer. If we can take that leg forward and then extend the leg back behind us, grabbing at the ankle, reaching that left arm up, and now hinge slightly at the hips as we lengthen through that right hip. Trying to keep the body as square to the front as possible, a little fatiguing from endurance of that left supporting leg. Maintaining strong through our core. Again, we've got that spot if we need to look at it. As we take one final inhale, exhale, releasing through the middle, and fidget. Good, whether we're rolling through the ankles, working through some massage of the feet, preparing for the second side as we find Tadasana. Zipping up through the core, let's transfer the weight through to the right foot as we lift the left leg out to the side, open the hip, and draw the foot into position. Wherever that may be, above or below the knee, opening that left hip, lifting tall out of right, and finding the arms coming up wherever they need to be on this side. Trying not to focus so much on what you think they should look like or where they should be or what you have done before. Rather, listening to our body, taking the pose that works for our body today. Slow, deep breaths. I'm really relying on my spot that I'm looking at. Just 2 more breaths in tree. Remember, you can reposition yourself as often as necessary as we now draw that knee in through the middle. Extend the hip at the back, taking hold of the ankle with the left hand. And then reaching the right arm tall, we can hinge at the hips as we really lift that back left leg up, trying to open through the left shoulder. However, maintaining sternum, belly button, nose, staying square to the front. Very nice. Opening up through those hips. Taking one more big inhale here. Exhale, slowly release, and take our time fidgeting. Amazing. Returning to the front of our mat if we've moved. Final roll as we position ourselves into that last Tadasana. Soft knees, inhale, hands reach high. Exhale, swan dive into forward fold. This is where we'll stay for a few breaths. Releasing the head. Taking the head no if that's okay. And nodding yes. Finishing on that positive. Noticing how this feels, any stretch we might be experiencing through the posterior chain, whether it's up the back of the leg, around the hip, or down through the backs themselves. We're going to step back onto hands and knees when you're able to. Now from here, taking a single leg frog. Our tabletop remains the same as we just extend that right leg out to the side. You can curl those left toes underneath of you to help with your control as we just press the hips back. Now this will look different on everyone, so I want you to experiment with it. As we press our hips back, hopefully you'll feel some sensation through that groin. Now you may need to flatten the foot and come all the way down, or maybe your back remains straight as your tailbone remains high. We can also position that right foot, whether the foot's up or down, and we can reach those arms nice and long if that helps. So play with your single leg frog, targeting the inside of our thigh. Inhale, slowly coming up, and exhale, release. Finding tabletop again. I'll turn to the front so you can get another view as we do the other leg now. Inhale, extending the leg out to the side, whichever leg you haven't done. Find yourself pressing your hips back, whether they remain high or come low. The foot can be flat or upturned, and we can take our arms long or even bring them down. Breathing into that inner thigh. Amazing. Slowly coming up. Take our time, pressing all the way back into child's pose. And I'm going to recommend a wide knee child's pose, bringing the knees out, touching the toes together, sinking the hips even lower, letting the bellies sink down towards the ground. Couple breaths as we check in here. Whenever you're able to do so, join me moving forward onto your stomach. Take your time as we slowly lower the body down, and feel free just to lay onto one side of the head, one cheek on the floor. Taking a moment just to get used to breathing as we're laying on our stomach. I recommend trying to breathe laterally through the back of the ribs. Still able to then use our diaphragm. Preparing for a locust stretch. This is like a Superman. We'll bring our head to face nose to floor, taking our shoulders, roll them down our backs and together as we lift our arms back towards our toes, palms facing into the thighs. When you're able to do so, let's lift the chest high. And if you're also able to add it in, let's lift those legs up off the ground, creating the smallest resting surface area on the floor, trying to rest only on the belly and the pelvis. Lifting those thighs up, squeeze the glutes, continuing to reach those arms back, squeezing shoulder blades together. If anyone's experiencing sensitivities through the back, feel free to lower the legs and take the hands underneath the shoulders for extra support. We're only holding this for 2 more breaths. One final inhale, and exhale, release down. Feel free to lay on the other cheek, evening out that neck turn. And then we'll bring our head neutral once again as we bring hands under rib cage and press up for that last big cobra stretch. enjoying that lengthening experience. Long neck, soft elbows, head reaching high. Pressing back into child's pose. This is our last child's pose stretch, which will incorporate our thread the needle, drawing that right arm underneath the left shoulder, laying into that right ear. Noticing if we can feel any stretch targeting through the right shoulder blade, in and around the joint, or through the right arm itself. Slowly reaching the arms through the middle. We'll take that left arm under when ready. Modifying this to really work with your body's needs today. Noticing what you're feeling. Slowly coming up through the middle. And we'll take ourselves all the way up onto our feet as we find a seated position. Now, in particular, we're going to be coming into a straddle. If you'd like to make sure that you have room for that and you're comfortable as we extend the legs forward, taking both legs then out into a straddle. Now, I try not to force it, so it's kind of whatever the legs open to naturally, and making sure that we can stay on top of those sits bones. Something to consider is whether or not you think your hips are tilting forward, in which case you'll feel like your legs are rounding, or if your hips are tucked back, in which case you'll feel like you're not able to sit up straight. If you're either one of these, sometimes what's helpful is if we wedge a cushion or a yoga block or even just a towel underneath the hips, and it gives that lumbar just a little bit of neutralizing effect. Something to consider if that's something that bothers you. As we sit here, let's reach the arms out long. We're going to extend that left arm high to the sky as we reach towards the right foot with the right hand. Noticing if the shoulder is able to remain up towards the ceiling, if you'd prefer to extend it without collapsing through the neck or shoulder, or if simply you'd like to take the hand behind you. We can focus anywhere through that left side. Amazing opening lateral extension here. As we're stretching through the groin area, the inner thighs as well. Inhale, lifting up through the middle. And let's repeat that over to the left side. Reaching that right arm nice and high. Keeping that right hip down on the floor. And inhale, lifting up. Exhale, release. Shaking those legs forward. And our last seated pose will come into butterfly. We're able to take our feet flat, really concentrating on opening up these hips today. We'll press the 10 toes together, fold our ankles, sit up so tall, and then hinge forward. We can keep our elbows tucked in or use them as a little bit of leverage here, pressing those knees open. And I always like to just tuck the chin down, letting the forehead drop towards the toes. Take a few deep breaths, noticing what we're feeling. Anything through the inner thighs, the hips, the groin, maybe up the back or into the neck. And slowly roll up. We'll take those knees in. If you've got sweaters or socks or anything you'd like to put on before coming down to the mat, our final exercises are going to be done laying on our back. So make sure that you're comfortable as you bring yourself down here. Whether you're giving yourself a hug or just laying down straight. Just like we did when we were working prone, laying stomach down, taking a moment here to get comfortable in our position on our mat. Preparing for dead bug, also known as happy baby. I'll ask you to join me with your knees to chest. And then we'll take our legs straight up towards the ceiling. Feet are flat as if you're pressing your feet onto your ceiling. We'll take our hands either behind our knees on our thighs. Some people like to hold the outside of the feet. I like to take my pointer and middle finger and wrap them around my big toes. Keeping your feet flat to the ceiling, keeping your back completely flat on the ground. Let's go ahead and bend the knees as much as you want to as we let those legs open out to the side, completely relaxing through the hips. Try to let your shoulders stay on the ground. Neck is long. please feel free to close your eyes as we relax those facial features. Dead bug is a very restorative pose, wonderful for releasing tension through the hips, the back.
Here come the drums.
Slowing our breathing, really enhancing that relaxation effect. We'll help the knees in together. Slowly release the leg down completely to the mat, preparing for spinal twist. Some of us like to keep our knees bent. I'm going to straighten my legs out completely just for a little bit more sensation today. Bringing your arms out to the side, knowing your room, your space if you need to adjust on your mat. Taking that right knee up. Nice big inhale at the top. Exhale, lowering over to the left. Keeping both shoulders touching the floor, we can look over that right arm. Some of us may choose to hold the knee with our free left hand, or simply just let go and enjoy the time laying on our mat, wringing any tension out, stretching that right side of body. Inhale, lifting the knee up, and exhale, lower. If you've twisted or tilted, taking a moment and just reset. Preparing to repeat that now. Inhale, lifting the left knee. Exhale, lower to the right side. And as we relax into the position, we can look over that left arm, noticing any stretch or any sensation we're feeling down that left side. Inhale, lifting the knee up. And exhale, release down. Coming into Shavasana, if there's anything that you need to do to be comfortable, we need to bend the knees, we need to windshield wiper the legs. If you'd rather take butterfly, please make this your own. Shoulders release down into the mat. Head is flat on the base, nose pointing straight up to the ceiling. Our face is calm, soft, relaxed. Our body is being surrendered into the mat beneath us as we let go of our abdominal muscles, any tension lingering in the shoulders, letting that melt beneath us. Focusing on our inhale through the nose and focusing on our exhale, whether it's through the nose or mouth. Notice how it feels. Noticing the rib cage expand with our breath in, the belly and the chest rise. And notice that rush of air on the way out, relaxing our body. Notice if we're able to deepen our breathing, slow down the rhythm, taking a more full and complete breath. Taking that last breath cycle in, releasing all of the air, we can start wiggling our fingers and our toes, reawakening the body, maybe rolling our wrists and ankles in circles. Taking any final stretches we need, laying down, whether it's knees to chest, little circles. And on your own time, working our way over through our sides and up into our final resting position, sitting down in some version of lotus. And as we work our way up to that seated position, just fluttering those eyes open, noticing how we're feeling. Welcome back to the space, hopefully feeling both relaxed and regenerated, rejuvenized, and re-energized. We'll take that final breath together with a big inhale, lifting hands up above head to prayer. Exhaling down through heart center. Namaste. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope to see you again next week. Have a lovely week. Be safe.